Hello, how do you do? Guys, in this video, I've got these aluminium axles. Check these out. Now, originally, I was going to put them onto this grave digger here, but they are just way too narrow. I mean, if I'd have put them on there, I had the wheels off, the wheels would be touching the arms there. So I thought, all right, no big deal. So how about I put them onto my HBR Wheelie King? And yeah, they are too narrow as well. I probably could have made it work, but all these link locations don't line up. Now, these are supposed to be for an Axial SCX10, and they do a front axle there and a rear axle there. So my idea was to use two of the front ones and put them onto one of these, and obviously it didn't work. So I'm going to put a link down below to this axle here, and I'm also going to put a link down below to the rear axle, and these are supposed to bolt straight onto an Axial SCX10. This here is very similar, but it has wider axles, and although I think I could fit these on there, I don't really want to make this rig here narrower. I kind of quite like it as it is. Now this one here is an RGT, and this one here is the carbon fibre version. So you've got carbon fibre chassis rails, a lot of aluminium parts, and more aluminium parts underneath. But these axles look like they're going to fit on there pretty well. They look about to be about the right width, and I've got two front axles. So what we're going to do is put them on there, and then we're going to try and make this so it steers front and rear. So I'm probably going to be running it on this Spectrum DX5C, because you can actually put a channel onto here, so I can have steering here as normal and then put the rear steer on a toggle switch. Now, I know a lot of people always say to me, Kev, you can set up mixing so that when you steer it does the front and the rear wheels at the same time. I don't want to do it like that. I want to be able to do it manually myself and decide when I want to steer. I don't want it to do it all at the same time. So anyway, I'm going to stop waffling and start wrenching. Also, I've seen a couple of complaints recently with people saying, Curve, there's too many crawlers. Where's the bashing videos? So when I make videos, I kind of just pick up what I want to pick up. I kind of when we go out and we bash, we kind of do it as a group, and we kind of do it for the fun. So the same as when I get stuff from Banggood, I kind of choose what I want to get. So I have a little look through the website. If I see something I like the look of, I sort of say, can I have that? And they're like, yeah, sure. Or like, no, sometimes. So normally when I take out the X-Max or a crawler or any other RC car, I kind of take it out because it's the car that I want to take out. And I kind of go through phases. At the moment, I'm in a little bit of a crawler phase, and I'm kind of quite liking the crawlers. I'm enjoying them. I've got a few little mini ones, but yes, you are right. I've been doing quite a lot of crawler videos recently. But I do have a brand new Armour Creighton version 4, and I've also got all the M2C upgrades coming up. So there's going to be a lot of bashing coming up with that soon. Also, there's the X-Max up there that hasn't got a wheel at the moment, but I've got some new wheels here. So that's going to actually, we're planning to take that out on the weekend. There's going to be a few X-Maxes out. These axles were actually supposed to go on the monster truck, but they didn't fit. So now this is kind of turning into a crawler video. But yes, you are right, I have become a little bit of a crawler addict recently. So much so actually recently that I've actually just bought a real one too. And I've also got the version 3 Bison. This one's a basher, and this one's going to be out soon as well. Or by the time you've watched this video, maybe it's already been out. I've got a ZD Pirates monster truck down there, so I've got to do a review on that one soon as well. I want to get the nitros out again soon. Also the Infraction, and maybe a little bit more stuff with the burnout cars. And I've got a couple of videos planned that I want to do with this. Also up here, I've got a couple of these petrol powered 6th scale cars, so they're going to come out soon. And yeah, I've got to do something with this, which is pretty much top of my priority list at the moment. So I'm going to start on that very, very soon. But you know, as I said, this channel is kind of about me, and I kind of just film what I want to be doing. So whatever I want to do on a certain day, if I fancy picking up the camera and kind of documenting it with you guys, and that's kind of what I do. So, you know, it could be different. You know, maybe one day it might never be any RCs at all. It might be something completely different. Who knows? I mean, this channel is about me and whatever hobbies I tend to have at the moment. So, you know, if I start playing with that more, then maybe there's going to be more of that. When I start building the monster truck, there's going to be more of that. So, you know, it's always going to be different. It's always going to be what I'm into. And you guys are all welcome to follow me along on the journey. And if it doesn't interest you, then that's cool too. You can always go and watch PewDiePie. But I know a lot of you subscribers, you're here because of the bashing videos. So don't worry, there will be some more bashing videos very, very soon. Alright, so let's have a quick look at these axles. So these are full metal construction. There's no plastic that I can see on here anywhere. So this top piece here is made out of carbon fibre, and that's if you want to mount your servo up there. Now, nowadays, most crawlers have the servo chassis mounted, so we're not going to be running this, we're going to be taking this off. So it comes with all the internals already on there, and it's already got a locked up differential in there too. So this should be a relatively easy fix. So let's have a quick montage, and then we're going to get to work. So the machining on these and the quality of the work, I mean, I've got to give it a 10 out of 10. I just absolutely cannot fault these anywhere. They look like they should be, like 10 times more expensive. So we're going to put them on and then we're going to see how durable they are. But from going by the look so far, I've got nothing bad to say about them yet. So let's get them fitted. Alright, so I'll start off with a front axle. So here's the old axle and here's the new one. So the new one does look a lot more beefy. Now a couple of little issues. On this one here, it comes with a panhard link, which is this link here. Now on the new axle, it hasn't got anywhere to put that. And I think because it's running 4-link, I'm just going to take this off and not bother with it. So it shouldn't really give it any issues. Maybe a tiny bit of bump steer, but it's only a toy, so it shouldn't really matter. The other issue, which is not really an issue, is but this one, look, when you turn this way, that turns that way, and this one here turns in the opposite way. So what that means is that the crawler is going to drive in the opposite direction. So a couple of things you could do. You could mount the axle on the other way around. So instead of putting it on this way around, you could put it on this way around. And that's going to make it go the opposite direction. But luckily, if we look at this drove in the wrong direction to start with, hence why these motor wires here plugged in the wrong way around. So once we've got those axles on there, I should be able to plug these wires to back in the right way around, and the motor's going to rotate in the direction that it was designed to rotate in. So that's kind of like a little bonus. But anyway, I don't even know if this is going to work. It might not work. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to buy myself a Axial SCX10 just so I've got an excuse to mount these axles on. So if we look here, we're going to have to mount the linkages slightly a little bit differently. On this one here, we've got the linkage and then the shock is mounted above it. On this one here, we're going to have to put the linkage and the shocks next to each other. But it's not really a big deal because we've got a lot of adjustment here on the shock tower. So if it ends up being too low, we just got to move the shocks down a little bit and we can, hopefully, we're going to get back to the right height that we want. Alright, so far that went on perfectly. The suspension moves nicely, it moves up and down, it articulates side to side, and we've also got a little bit of caster angle going on there. So far it looks actually pretty perfect. One little issue that I can see is that this steering arm here, it hits on the servo arm there. So I'm going to have to, I think, take off the steering arm from this one and put it onto here. It looks round about the same length, so we should be able to make that work. And then also we can use the stock steering linkage, whatever that's gone, somewhere kicking around, and it should all perfectly work. Alright, so the front end is now all completely mounted up. I did a little bit of it off camera because I was fiddling about, taking bits on and off to see what worked. But what I basically done at the end, I put the steering arm from the old axle back onto the new axle. I had to lengthen this arm slightly, so I put a little washer in there. And then also the angle of this drive shaft here was quite extreme. So if you look here, I put a little washer in there just to space that out a little bit and bring that angle back. So as it sits, the front end sits a little bit lower now. So I'm not sure if that's really a bad thing. I may well leave it like that because I like to run my rigs a little bit lower, because when they're high up, they tend to fall over quite easy. So I may run it like that for a while and see how it goes. I mean, the back's a little bit high, so once I get the back axle on there, that may bring it down to there as well. And I'm going to give it a little experimentation and see how it runs, because you can adjust it here anyway. I could easily undo that shock there, move it down, and then that'll kind of be back to where the ride height was before. But anyway, I'm going to get the back axle on. I'm not going to bother doing it on camera because it's going to be exactly the same. And then I'm going to put you back on when I start messing about with the servos. But as you can see, if I turn this wheel this way, you can see the rear end going into the wrong direction. So once we get the other axle on there, it's going to be the same direction. All I've got to do is swap these two wires over and boom. Oh, right, so both axles are on there now. So here's the rear one. It's the front axle, but mounted on the back. So the steering angle of this is going to be ridiculous. So look at that. Look at that steering angle there. And once we turn the rear steer as well, I mean, the turning circle, this thing is going to be crazy. But anyway, height-wise, if I leave the shocks in the position that they're in now, it's going to kind of ride fairly low. And as I said, I do like my rigs pretty low because it makes them a lot more stable. So, I don't know. What do you reckon, guys? Do you reckon that's too low? Or do you reckon that's good? I mean, if you look at the American rock bouncers, they run them sort of relatively low because it makes them a lot more stable. And although it's going to belly out a little bit more, I don't know. I'm going to give it a go how it goes now. But anyway, next, I'm going to have a little play and see where I can mount a servo. I think I can probably get one in there. Try and link it all up. And then I'm going to put you back on in a minute. Oh, guys, check this out. So I've got a standard size servo here. And it actually perfectly fits into these bumper posts, and it's even got holes in there that actually perfectly line up with a servo. So these are actually the adjustment screws in case you want to put the bumper in or out, but they're perfectly spaced to take a servo. So all I've got to do now is get a servo horn onto there and attach this onto there somewhere, and boom, wire it up and we're good to go. So here's the plan. So the linkage that comes pre-installed on the axle, it's got the ball joint mounted that way. Trouble is with that, it hasn't got that much movement up or down. So if we mount this to a servo like that, because this is actually designed to have the servo mounted onto the axle, so if we have that mounted there and we try and articulate, it hasn't got enough movement in the joint here to let the axle move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the standard rod. This one here is actually off the other axle because I didn't use it on that one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole through this rod here and then just put a nut and bolt through there and hold it together like that. Now I'm hoping I'm not going to weaken this aluminium too much because maybe it will. But well, I'm going to give it a go anyway. And then we're going to give it a whirl and see what happens. Guys, check it out. I don't know how this thing just went together so easily. So I've done it a little bit differently. I used one of these servo support arms that come on the axle and I screwed it through this arm here. So I had two reasons for that. The first one, I didn't want this angle here to be too extreme. So by putting this little block on there, it kind of drops that arm down a little bit and keeps it a lot flatter. Second reason, I didn't really want to drill through this arm here because this is actually a H section here. And if I'd have drilled through that, it would have gone straight through that H section bit, probably would have exposed it, and there would have only been like a couple of millimeters holding that on. What? Spectrum, shut up. But anyway, before we got so rudely interrupted, so I screwed that on through the hole that was already there, then drilled a hole through the side of that, and check it out. It kind of works perfectly. Look at that. That servo sits in there perfectly. The suspension moves up and down perfectly. It doesn't bind anywhere. It's just, guys, I mean, check out that steering angle. So all that I've got to do now, I mean, it's almost finished. All I have to do is wire this servo in. It's probably going to need a little extension lead because it doesn't quite reach. We're very close. Calibrate it with a radio. We're ready to give it a go. I want to fit a different body to it at some point. This one here looks a little bit tall. I'm not really that happy about the shape of it. But check this out, guys. What do you reckon? Chevy C10. I know this one's an old body, but I mean, check it out, guys. What do you reckon? And especially with the rear wheel steer, and also having it relatively low. I mean, I reckon this is going to be pretty good. What do you reckon? Give us a note down below, guys. How good do you reckon this is going to be? Oh, right, so I've got this Spectrum receiver here. Now, this one here, it's got AVC. And I'm going to put it in there for now, but it's a bit of a waste. I really want to put this into something where we can make use of this traction control, gyro type stuff. Steering is channel 1, and then throttle is channel 2, but on the spectrums it's kind of labelled up as that anyway. Yeah, alright, so I'm going to wire this up and then we're going to get you back on. Alright, so I've kind of got it all wired up now. I've got this spectrum receiver in here. I've got to turn the AVC off. So we've got front steering, rear steer on the switch here. Throttle's all working. The only thing what's happening is that I've used this switch here for the rear steer, but it's also adjusting the brakes at the same time. Look, I'm doing the steering. Every time I touch the steering, it's adjusting the brakes as well, which I don't want it to do. And I had that same problem on the Wheelie King, and I was pulling my hair out over it, and it was driving me absolutely and utterly crazy. And there's a setting in here somewhere, and I can't remember where it is, so you can take that away from the brakes, and I can't remember how you do it. I've been playing around with it for the past 10 minutes and I just cannot do it. We are finally ready. I figured it out. I've messed about with it. Now look, I can hit the rear steer. And it's not changing the settings on here. Now this is a really cheap, crappy servo. It's getting hot. I think the gears are already stripped. It's a plastic geared servo. Yeah, so don't buy that servo. It's got no power at all. Nasty servo. But anyway, the concept's there. Rear steer, and here we got the front steering. One thing I do need to figure out is how to turn off the AVC, because as it does this, look, it's steering. So I'm going to mess about with that later. Let's get the body on and try it out. So the filming that I'm doing on this, I'm going to do it with this little... What? So anyway, the filming that I'm going to be doing is... What is happening today? Everything seems to be going crazy on me today. But anyway, I'm going to do the filming today on this DJI Osmo Pocket because I can stick it onto my controller and then I can film and drive at the same time. So I'm going to put a link to where you can get one of these from down below. So without further ado and without further procrastination, let's put it on the floor and try it out. Alright, so turning circle wise, this is what it was like before. So this is just with the front steering axle. So look at that, it only got as far as there. So let's put it back to where we started from. I need to find a way of speeding this ESC up in reverse. It's so slow. And I'm not good at setting up electronics, guys. I really suck at it severely. So I'm not even going to attempt to try and do it. I'm going to get Steve or someone to have a go. But anyway, now let's try the steering with four-wheel steer. Oh! Listen to that servo. But look at that. Check it out. We've doubled the turning circle. Or halved it, whatever you want to call it. Front steering only. Ah, you can barely make it round. Barely. Now with the rear steer. Oh, check it out, guys. What a modification. That's going to make it so much easier. Oh guys, I love it. Check that out, man. That is absolutely epic. So if we want to turn it round, I know the servo sounds bad. I'm going to have to buy a better one. But it's lining this thing up now. Check that out, guys. That is absolutely insane. Alright, so for a bit of fun, let's try it out on the hill climb. So I've just modified it. I've added this steel plate onto here and I've got this angle finder here. And that sticks on there because it's magnetic. So now it's going to make it a lot easier to see what angle stuff is. So let's start off at a 45 degrees. And let's just see how well this thing can climb. So note in the comments, guys, how steep do you reckon this thing can go up? I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to guess 55 degrees at a guess. Oh, so easy. Easy on the 45. Put it up a bit more. By the way, guys, I'm going to put a link to where you can get this car from down below and all the other bits that are on there, the speed controller, the servos, not the rear servo because that one sucks, but the front servo, the axles, everything on this rig. I'm going to put a link to where you can get all of that from down below. Alright, so we're now at 48 degrees. Yep, still does it. Go a bit more. Oh, that's the limit. That is it, guys. Well, it's not it because it won't do it. So, Yeah, I was quite a lot out actually, wasn't I? 48. Alright, 48 it can do. There you go, guys, look at that. 48 degrees. Guys, I can't wait to take this out off-road now. And you can even crab it along as well, look. Well, that way. At the turning circle, I mean, check that out, that is insane, look at that. Just look at that angle of turnage, that is just crazy. The other good thing is if you're going along somewhere and the back end's about to fall off, you can kind of steer it. Oh, tumble wumble. You can kind of steer it independently. Guys, this is going to make it so much better. I cannot wait to test it out. Just check that out. That is insane. And without rear steer, no rear steer, look. Turning circle absolutely sucks. Alright guys, as a first attempt, I'm absolutely over the moon. I mean, I cannot get over how much more steering you've now got with the rear wheel steer, and I hope that really shows you in the video. Now, these axles, as I said, they're really made for an Axial SCX10. They work on here pretty well. The servo goes on here easily. So, as I said, I'm going to put a link to all of this stuff down below, the card down below. I mean, I'm going to do a few more modifications to this. This is not how it's going to stay. I'm going to have to put in a better servo. This thing here just sucks. It's definitely no good for a crawler. So I'm going to get another servo, the same as I've got in the front, because that one's actually dirt cheap. I think it's like under $10 and plenty of power on that one. So I'm going to put the same servo, I think, into the back. Also, I want to change the tyres. These are a little bit squishy, although they've got loads of grip. I mean, doesn't really make it that good on a side slope, so I may well take the tyres off of this and try these ones on there. So these are some China alloys. I'm going to put a link to these down below if I remember. These are Proline tyres, so I might give them a go on there. And I also want to change the body, so I might try and mount something like that on there. I mean, this is a little bit top heavy. It's got the tyre there, it's got the roll cage on there. I mean, it looks fairly cool, but yeah, we're going to have to play about with that and do it a little bit differently. Alright, so coming up, I've still got a couple of crawler videos. I know for some of you guys moaning, saying too many crawler videos, I'm going to take this one out and give it a run to see what it's like out in the real world. I still want to take out the 6x6 and see what that's like, because we've just modified that, jacked it up a little bit. So I've got a video with that. We're going out on the weekend to do some bashing, so I've got to get the X-Max out and some other stuff. Also, I want to do some work on my Land Rover. So I've put these big tyres on it, 37 inches, maybe not that big for you guys in America, but for here in the UK, they're big, and they shake and they rattle and they vibrate on the street. So somebody in the comments said, put dyno beads in it. So I had a little look, I bought some, and you put a sack of these in the tyre and it's supposed to self-balance as it goes round. So I'm going to do that now, but that's going to be in a different video. So then there's going to be another video with a Land Rover, and yeah, whatever. I kind of just do what I want to do, pick up the camera, film it, edit it, stick it up, and hopefully some of you guys like it. And to those of you that don't like it, you can go and watch PewDiePie. So guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, smash the bell button to stay notified, give us a thumbs down if you suck, and check out some of these other videos. So I'll see you over there in a sec.